Figured we go ahead and get this thing started, guys. Right now it's 63-57. Arizona State up on West Virginia late in the game. Only like 25 seconds left. 16.6 to be exact. As we finish up here, it's 11, 12 p.m. and I'm in a hotel, so I can't be on here a super long time. But I wanted to do a post-game show of some sort. Thank you all for joining. I see Raven, Luke, WVU Fan 13, Daniel Sargent, Luke Armacost, Jake T, AJ in Arizona. Thank you all for jumping in. Liam Wright, Mark Silver Shark. This was just one of those nights, man, where nothing was going right for West Virginia. 65-57 now. Arizona State made their free throws. But nothing was going right for this team. You could tell they were tired. I heard Tony Caridi say in his broadcast that there was a sickness apparently going through the team. Final score, finally, 65-57, Arizona State. But there was apparently a sickness going through the team, too, so that may have affected them some. But just they couldn't make shots tonight. Terrible, terrible shooting performance tonight. Most of their shots were falling short, hitting the front of the rim. In my thumbnail, I said it was a kind of a hangover effect, and I think it was to a degree. It seems like that's happened twice this year now after big wins. They just don't come out with the same amount of energy. At this time, it was a short turnaround, too. They had to turn right around after playing on Saturday, or fairly late Saturday evening, Saturday afternoon. Turn around 2 days later, play again. So, you could say that's part of it. Again, if most of the team's sick, you could tell that Javon Small was not himself tonight. Shots were falling short. He wasn't even taking shots as much as he usually does. There were a lot of shots I saw him pass up tonight that he normally doesn't pass up. So that makes he just wasn't himself. I don't think he was confident because he probably didn't feel good, whether it's fatigue, whether he was sick, whatever. It was a bad loss and tonight, but it's really the first bad loss they've had all year. They had not had a bad loss this year. The Arizona loss wasn't a bad one. The Louisville loss turned out not to be a bad one. The Pitt loss, it's looking worse and worse, but it wasn't terrible. They were a good team at the time. So none of the losses are bad losses until this one. But the rebounds, was a big deal, AJ, for sure. It's hard to be too mad at this team. Like I've seen in the comments here, we didn't expect this team, at least I didn't expect this team to be where they are right now. Finally, my heater kicked off in this hotel room. It's the coldest hotel room I've ever been in my life. But anyway, that's why I'm wearing a hoodie. But nonetheless, just a tough night. I actually even subscribed. The hotel I'm in did not have CBS Sports Network. I didn't have a way to watch the game, so I actually signed up for YouTube TV just so I could watch it. That was probably not the best decision. But anyway, it's a free trial, so I'll be okay. But nonetheless, tough night for West Virginia. Lose 63-57, I think was the final score. May have been 65-57. I'm going to pull the stats up here real quick. Yeah, it was 65-57, actually. Let's go ahead and pull the stats up here. Again, I won't be on here super long because I'm sure it's probably quiet time here in the hotel. Hopefully I'm loud enough for you guys. When we look at these stats here, team stats, we'll look at first. West Virginia on the right, Arizona State on the left. Field goal percentage, Arizona State was 25 of 52, 48%. Just really good shooting. West Virginia only shot 31% from the floor, 18 of 58, and only shot 13.8% from three, 4 of 29. Whereas Arizona State was 5 of 17, 29%. So they didn't shoot great either. But, West Virginia just, when you're a team like West Virginia who kind of lives and dies by the three-point shot, you don't have a huge paint presence as far as scoring the ball. When you have a tough night shooting from three, it's going to be tough. And if you do have a tough night shooting from three, you need to make up for it with rebounds. And unfortunately, when you look down here at the rebounding stats, West Virginia got absolutely dominated on the glass, 46-28 overall, 14-9 in offensive rebounds, and 32-19 on defensive rebounds. What makes that ironic? Coming into this game, Arizona State was only averaging 36.4 rebounds a game. So they had 10 rebounds more than their average. They actually had 24 rebounds in the first half. So we're only 12 below their entire average for a game in the first half. They were 102nd in the country coming in rebounding. Offensive rebounding, they were 272nd in the country, averaging only 7.6 offensive rebounds a game. They had 14. They almost doubled up their season average. And they actually they had 7 in the first half. So West Virginia just did not do a good job keeping Arizona State off the offensive glass tonight, or off the glass in general. I don't know. They just didn't have the bounce, didn't have the energy. Tony Caridi mentioned it in his broadcast. I had the YouTube TV synced up with Tony because I could not stand to listen to Lapis tonight. He was so annoying. But anyway, assists, it was 11-11. Go to free throw shooting. West Virginia shot 85% from the free throw line. It's really what kept them in the game. 17-20, whereas Arizona State not too good, 10-17, 58.8%. West Virginia had 11 steals to Arizona State's 4. Only turned it over 6 times. I mean, they should have won this game. I mean, when you look at the fact they turned the other team over 15 times, had 28 points off those turnovers, only gave up 5 points off turnovers, and only turned it over 6 times in their own right. But you look at points in the paint, they lost that battle by 10. So you just, 3-point, the 3 keys to this game were 3-point shooting, rebounding, and points in the paint. West Virginia just got bullied in the paint big time. I hope West Virginia – look, this is nothing personal against Eduardo Andre and Amani Hansberry. Eduardo's not a bad player, but he's only one guy. And then Amani's really not a 5. He's more of a forward. He's more of a 4, stretch 4. He's not really made to be playing down low like that. So hopefully in the offseason, West Virginia's able to go out and find themselves a good big with a big-bodied big, like a big guy who's thick, like most of these other teams have. You need a big body in there that doesn't get pushed off the block, doesn't get bullied inside. It's not that these guys aren't trying. They're just, I think in a lot of these cases they're overmatched from a strength and a size standpoint, and they just get pushed backwards, man. They get pushed off their spots. And sometimes it's just the other guy's bigger than you, stronger than you. And I think that's the case here a lot of times in some of these games. And if West Virginia's shooting the ball well from 3 and other things, they can, it makes up for that. But when you're not shooting the ball well and you're not getting rebounds, you can't get away with giving up 36 points in the paint. I mean, they gave up a lot of points in the paint in the Iowa State game. I think it was 40. But they won the game because they were able to overcome it in other areas. Couldn't do that tonight. Especially when you shoot 4 for 29 from 3. And then when you look at the individual stats here for Arizona State, Quaintance had 15 points to go with 3 block shots and 12 rebounds. He had a heck of a night, so he filled up the stat sheet. Bashir Jihad had 17 points, 8 rebounds. BJ Freeman, 14 points, 8 rebounds. Adam Miller, who, by the way, I thought played really good defense on Javon Small tonight. Even though Javon wasn't himself, I think Adam Miller deserves some credit there. He scored 10 points. Also had a steal, a couple rebounds on 2 of 4 shooting from 3. BJ Freeman also made a couple threes. And then Sean Phillips had 5 points for him off the bench to go along with 6 rebounds. So those are your stats and they only played 7 guys. Arizona State didn't go super deep tonight. They only played 7 guys. They actually played less guys than West Virginia did. So they weren't super deep. When you go to West Virginia, Javon had 14, but 10 of those came from the free throw line. It was 2 of 11 from the floor. Just a really, really rough night for him. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Maybe we jinxed it by talking him up. I just did a show that I put out this morning about how he got snubbed for the Wooden Award watch list. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I may have jinxed it. Sincere Harris was 6 for 6 from the line, had 8 points. But he was 1 of 7 shooting. Jonathan Powell he was not able to make his shots tonight either. He was 3 of 9 from 3, 12 points. Amani's shots weren't falling. He was 1 of 5 from 3, 3 of 12 from the floor, 7 points. He was the leading rebounder on our team with 5. Javon did have 3 assists tonight, and KJ Tenner came in the game, had 6 assists tonight. So KJ Tenner continues to do good things when he's in there. Even though he doesn't play, a ton of minutes. Joseph Yesufu nobody had a good night. It was just Eduardo Andre had 8 points, 2 blocks. and 2 rebounds. Look, when you're 6'11", man, you need to be getting more than 2 rebounds a game, in my opinion. That's the one area Andre, in my opinion, he's doing a great job protecting the rim. He's much improved in scoring around the rim, but I would like to see Andre do a little better job of getting rebounds for this team. You know, he's, like I said, he's their only true big, and they really need him to step up in that area, in my opinion. So, again, just a tough night for West Virginia overall. Not a whole lot to say, really. Out-rebounded, couldn't shoot tonight. Got bullied inside a little bit by a team who was bigger and stronger as far as their bigs go. Arizona State is not a better basketball team than West Virginia. You'll not convince me of that. But on this night, they were. And by the way, I do want to say to the coach of UCLA, Mick Cronin, who has been complaining about UCLA having to travel east and play, West Virginia has now lost to 2 Big 12 teams who had to travel east and play. So, and the weather has been terrible in West Virginia on both of those occasions. So he needs to keep his big trap shut, in my opinion. But anyway, quit whining and complaining. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Let me get to the chat here. I had a couple other things wrote down here. Second half, just to show you how bad the second half was for this Mountaineer team. West Virginia, with 10 minutes to go in the second half, West Virginia had only made 3 field goals in the second half, and they scored that third one right about the 10-minute mark. So they went about halfway through the second half with only 2 field goals. Just, again, abysmal. Just an abysmal night shooting the basketball. Again, I did hear, for those of you who might be getting here late, I did hear Tony Caridi mention the fact that there's a kind of a bug or something going through the team. That might have had an impact on the game and on their performance and on their legs. I definitely think it might have affected Javon Small tonight. He just did not look like himself. Wasn't as aggressive as he used to be or usually is. His shots were falling short. He just looked tired. Body language looked a little different, you know. But, yeah, Raven for sure. Rebounding is definitely a huge issue in the last few games. Absolutely. And, that, you know, it's something that Coach DeVries, stresses. He wants them to be a good rebounding team, and they just haven't done it. Luke Armerkoff says, let's not forget that this same team that some of you all are torching to no end did walk into Allen Fieldhouse and beat Kansas. Yes, they did. Like I said early on, this is the first bad loss this team has this year. We knew it was going to happen at some point. I was hoping it wouldn't be at home. That's the part that really bothers me the most, I guess, is the fact that it was at home. You know, the crowd wasn't I don't think that it was a super big crowd there tonight. Again, weather in West Virginia is bad once again. Super, super cold temps. Not sure if that kept people away or what, but it just did not seem like the same crowd. The ranking curse, yeah. They had a number beside her name. They played bad again. Stormy Cyclone says, you better pay DeVries the way Iowa's playing lately. They're going to come a knocking. Yeah, that's something I saw. Actually, I think it was Voice of Morgantown. I saw him put out on Twitter. That's home. Iowa's home for DeVries. So it is something they would have to be aware of for sure. Shaggy of WV says, I don't see anyone torching the team, just pointing out the deficiencies. West Virginia Rocker in the house says, my ASU buddies are saying I'm whining, but we have the flu. Javon puked down himself at halftime. Yeah, I didn't know about the puking. So, yeah, it's that's why I'm not going to look. I'm going to sit on here and talk about the deficiencies and where they were deficient in this game. But I still think this is a really good basketball team. They're still going to win several more games. They're still going to make the NCAA tournament. All is not lost. I know they have a no excuses mentality, but you know, when most of the team is sick, I actually think I said that on a video a week or so ago. I said they have not had their game yet where everybody's going to be sick. Well, maybe this was it. They don't play again, I don't think, until Saturday, so they have a few days for everybody to rest up, hopefully, get healed up, get better, overcome the flu or whatever it is they're all dealing with, the stomach bug, whatever, and get back out there and hopefully get back on the winning track again this weekend. So it'll be their first bad loss. You know, I don't know if it'll be a quad 3 or quad 4 loss, but it'll be their first one of the year. Let's see. Curtis D316 says, being from Iowa and the Iowa Hawkeyes being in the Big Ten will be hard to pass up. William, Thank you for joining the show. Says, look, just wait. We will beat Houston, period. This is who we are, okay? So people, please calm down. We will be in the tournament no matter what because of our body of work. Jesus, calm down. Dremel says they had the Predator on their team. Smalls played terrible. He was in another game. His mind was not on the game. Personally, I think we stunk any way you look at it. Yeah, they did tonight, Larry. But again, I think if you look at it's really the first game they've stunk. Even though the Arizona game, they didn't play their best. A lot of that was just because Arizona is a really good basketball team. Tonight, Arizona State is not I don't think if you put these teams on the court 10 times, West Virginia's probably winning 7 or 8 of those games. Maybe 9. But they didn't win tonight. Wasn't their night. Again, illness, fatigue, quick turnaround time. A lot of things come into play there. I'm not going to get too down on them. Stormy Cyclone says from the penthouse to the shit house. It happens in the Big 12. Yeah, it can, man. This conference is brutal. Drum Wolf says, I still love this team, but they need more players to help the starters get some relief. Agreed. Yeah, 8, 9 o'clock start time sucked, especially for somebody like me who has to get on here and do a show. Hal says losing to Arizona is one thing. Dropping a game to ASU is time for a gut check. Yeah, Hal, and they'll have it again. They're going to be fine. I don't look. It's not time to panic. I'm not going to sit here and panic over one game. Yes, it was ugly. It was rough, hard to watch, hard to talk about. But at the end of the day, they're still 4-3 in league play. They're still 13-5 overall. The schedule going forward looks pretty good. I mean, I still think they can exceed 20 wins. And if they exceed 20 wins with this resume, I think they get in, especially if they win a game or two in the Big 12 tournament. So, it's not over. Season's not over by any means. They were going to slip up and lose a game they weren't supposed to lose at some point this year. This may have been it. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, especially at home. But, again, you could tell by the body language, by the lack of aggression, by some of the guys, by the shots falling short. There was some fatigue involved. There was maybe even some illness involved. Not everyone wants to go back to where they began. Talking about Darren, I'm assuming. Hopefully he doesn't. But it's definitely something that I'm sure West Virginia fans are going to be concerned about for the rest of this season, especially if they keep winning. Luke, I don't know, man. You'll have to ask CBS that question. They were the ones who picked it, I guess. WVU Fan 13 says, we're not going to win every game. Absolutely no one expected us to be where we are right now. Y'all need to calm down. Coach isn't going anywhere. Everything is going to be fine. One bad game. Yep, they were tired for sure. Crowd wasn't there, Draven. You're right. Absolutely. Again, but I don't know how much weather played a factor. I was worried it might be. Russell says Saturday night they were all singing and dancing, and now they have the flu. Yeah, right. We ride small into the ground. Thought DeVries were a one-trick pony. Russell, I don't agree with that, man. Monty Hansberry's had some good nights. Jonathan Powell's had some good nights, and nobody had a good night tonight. Just nobody on the team was shooting the ball well tonight. They were all tired, all sick. You can catch the flu between Saturday night and Tuesday. It only takes, and it might not even be a flu, it might be a 24-hour stomach bug. And if you got 2 or 3 guys on the team and you only got a 8-man rotation and 2 or 3 of your guys have the stomach bug and it's 2 of your top players, which apparently Javon was one of them, yes, it's going to affect your team. But, do they need more help outside of Javon some nights? Absolutely they do. I'm not going to argue that point. That's a fair point to make. But I don't think tonight's a good night to say that considering they were sick. Everything looked bad besides the foul shots. Yeah, and again, that kept them in the game. Man, if they could have just made 1 3-point shot there near the end and got it within a 3-point game, they might have had a chance. They still had a chance to. That's what's ironic is here they were down almost the whole second half, had played as bad as they could play as far as shooting the ball and rebounding, and they still had a shot to win the game at the end. That's pretty remarkable, actually. They didn't quit. They didn't quit. They started put on the full-court press. There at the end, they had enough energy to do that, and they at the end of the day, they just didn't have enough in the tank. Yep, I agree, Curtis. Hopefully we won't be. Yep, the Mountaineers get to play Arizona State tomorrow night. Yeah, Tucker's not coming back, folks. Pretty confident that ain't happening. Drumwolf, I'm pretty sure the Big 12 schedules those games. I don't think it's, but I do agree. I don't like the way the Big 12 does that, but I don't know, man. They're kind of at the mercy of the TV networks, unfortunately, just like every other thing in college sports. Luke says, Curtis, we will lose some and win some. We cannot get down on this team after all the memories they have given us. Absolutely. Yep. Can't have too many letdowns, AJ. This is, to me, this is the only one that they can afford to have, because there's going to be some nights you're going to just up and lose anyway, even if it's not a quote unquote letdown game. So they can't really afford to have any more. I agree. Now, if they can turn around and beat Houston, that would more than make up for this. So maybe they can. Is that game Saturday, by the way? Or is it, or there another one in between? Let me look at the schedule here. They have, oops, I looked at the wrong. Okay, they have to go to Kansas State Saturday, and then Houston comes to Morgantown on Wednesday night. So yeah, if they can get, hopefully they can get out to Manhattan and take down Kansas State, who's not playing very well right now, and then come home and avenge that Houston loss in Morgantown. That would be really great. Then we could be sitting here at 15-5, 6-3 in the Big 12. Things still looking pretty good. Yep, a step late, Luke. That's a great way to put it. I don't think they were giving up, man. They just didn't have it tonight. They just didn't have the legs, didn't have the energy, didn't have the stamina to go like they needed to. Yeah, the press looked good, Raven. I actually made a second thumbnail near the end of the game that said, "Press Virginia saves," because some of the folks in the chat took exception to me having such a negative thumbnail when the game wasn't over. But funny story there. There have been times on this channel and on the football side where I have made thumbnails, like we'll be dominating somebody, and I'll make a thumbnail to go ahead and, hey, man, like we won the game, right? So I could go ahead and have it ready. Well, then they turn around and lose. It's happened to me multiple times. So I've decided I'm not going to do that anymore. So tonight I thought I would try the opposite. I said, I'm going to go ahead and put my thumbnail out there that says, we lost basically, and try reverse psychology. And of course it wasn't looking good. And I kind of had a feeling when I heard they were sick, I kind of had a feeling it wasn't going to win. And I thought, well, I'll go ahead and make the thumbnail. And sure enough, but the reverse psychology did not work, unfortunately. Got a Bill Sheets in the house. We've got Nathan Scott, WVU Fan 13, Raven still here. Who else? I saw Jackson Clark joined us. Thank you, Jackson Clark. Tanner Tracks Premier in, Snowman 1999, Fazah is in, Jesse Ferranti. Thank you for joining. He says, need more second-hand consistent scores, so teams can't just focus on small. That applies for Big 12 play and the tournament. Agreed, Jess. But, Amani had been – the last couple of games, Amani Hansberry had stepped up and made some shots, as Jonathan Powell had as well. But both of those guys were cold tonight too. And when you have – like I mentioned earlier, for those of you who are late, when you have a team that shoots the three ball as much as West Virginia does, and nobody on the team is hitting shots, it's going to make for a long night, especially when you can't rebound it. If you're rebounding the ball well, getting extra possessions, you can kind of make up for it, right? But they weren't doing that either. I mean, they got absolutely destroyed on the glass. West Virginia is one of the worst rebounding teams in the Big 12, if not in the country. So it's not, and we kind of knew that was coming because, they just don't have a lot of size. It's not, we knew it wasn't going to be the strength of the team, but I didn't think they'd be getting beat this bad by a team in Arizona State who really doesn't rebound it all that great either. Daniel Gigak says it was originally on ESPN Plus game that CBS picked up, so they got to pick the time. Yep. No problem, Drum Wolf, man. No problem at all, man. This is one of those games I really didn't have a whole lot to say anyway, so I'll let you guys do the talking. John Douglas Anderson in the house. He says, haven't yet lost 2 consecutive games this season. And I'm going to bank on that, John. I was thinking that earlier myself. Look, they're going to drop this one, but Coach DeVries doesn't typically lose 2 in a row. This team doesn't typically lose 2 in a row, so I trust they'll be able to turn around and, get a win here Saturday. A win, I said here, meaning I didn't mean that literally, but hopefully they'll get a win over Kansas State on Saturday. Brandon Pickrell says ASU guarded the 3 pretty well. They did. I thought they did a really good job. Adam Miller, like I mentioned earlier, he did a great job guarding Javon tonight. Even though Javon wasn't himself, he still did a good job keeping Javon out of from driving by him and didn't allow Javon to do that step back that he likes to do. There were a few times I thought Javon should have pulled the trigger on it, and he didn't. But I think Javon knew in the back of his mind, or even in front of his mind, I think he knew it wasn't his night, and I think he knew he didn't have the legs and the energy to shoot the ball well, so he probably wasn't trying. He didn't want to force anything. Brandon went on to say it seemed like they forced catches further outside the line, giving us less room to shoot. That is a great observation, Brandon. You're absolutely right. Great observation. And the pick and roll game didn't work as good tonight either. Some of that I credit to Arizona State's defense. Some of it I credit to West Virginia's legs, or lack of legs. Irval says court storm equals lots of germ contact, and that that's you had that plus they're going to class, they're staying in dorms. College is a good place to pick up a flu bug or a germ for sure. WVU in Manhattan, Kansas, 4-8. The Octagon of Doom always hurts WVU. Yeah, they are. They do tend to struggle in Manhattan for some reason. Even the years that Kansas State's not playing real well, but this year with this coach and this staff and this team, I think they can end that. They've ended a lot of other streaks this year, so hopefully they can end that one. A Q2 loss. That's not too bad. Quad 2 loss is not a terrible loss. Luke says he doesn't want the team to be ranked again no matter what. Brandon says, I still say this team goes 500 in Big 12 play. Every time we get ranked, this happens. Agreed, Brandon. So it sounds like you're right with Luke. You don't want them to get ranked again. But if they win more, they're going to get ranked eventually. Bill Sheets says couldn't stop the backdoor scoring. Why keep cheating over when it burns at you every time? Very, very fair. Let's see. WV Fan 13 says y'all were absolutely hilarious. A gut check. This is absolutely sad, people. We are 13-5. What was our record last year? We have 13 more games, 7 more wins. We are a 20-win team. Stop being stupid. I think they're just emotional, WV Fan 13, man. We're all emotional. We're fans. It happens. To be honest with you, if I wasn't so tired and it wasn't so late at night, I might have been more upset. Let me see. Get some more comments here, and then I'm gonna call it a night pretty quick on this one, the guys. Like I said, I'm in a hotel. Bill says Jake Howard didn't get in late. I get it. He is undersized, but maybe he hits one and gets the crowd. I was thinking that too, Bill. I know he struggles at times on the defensive end, and that's not his game. But if you can just get him in for, a couple series or a couple minutes rather, I'm thinking football here. If you get him in for a couple minutes, so he can get some shot, maybe he's a spark for you. I agree. I was kind of hoping they would try that too. But unfortunately, I guess he felt like it may have been a bad enough matchup on the defensive end of the court that it wasn't worth the risk. Brandon, I think I did, didn't I? Not recently. I have done videos on the recruits, Brandon. Just not all in one video, if that makes sense. I've done individual videos on them, each one. And riding in planes is another great point. West Virginia Rocker, you can get sick riding on an airplane. Tanner Trax says, is Tucker a shoe-in to come back if he does not return this year, or does he pursue NBA? Same with Javon. Does he come back next year if Tucker returns? The thought is that Tucker is going to come back next year. But, I guess it's always possible he could pursue the NBA. But in my head, and this is just my thinking, with his injury, his NBA draft stock may plummet because of the injury. So he may need to come back and prove that he can play a full season healthy and hopefully improve his NBA stock. But I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what he's thinking. As far as Javon goes, I mean, he technically will be out of eligibility unless that 5th-year rule passes where they give guys 5 years of eligibility. If that passes, unless Javon gets a really, really good, some really, really positive feedback from the NBA, because you can test the waters and get some feedback without, as long as you don't hire an agent and still come back to school. If they pass the 5th-year rule and he doesn't get, the feedback he wants to hear from the NBA, then it's not out of the question that he comes back. Now, I do know there's a group of donors out there trying to get up enough money to get an NIL deal for Javon, to get him, for him to come and make an appearance on Locked On West Virginia with Paul. And that makes me wonder if there's not a plan there to, maybe that's because I'm thinking to myself, well, if they don't think they can get him back, if he's gone anyway, then why are they worried about getting him an NIL deal? So I don't know if they're doing it just because they want to show their appreciation or if they think there's actually a thought that he might come back next year. If that's the case, then I could definitely see it. Kansas State is not ranked, Raven. They are actually they actually have a losing record right now. They're 7-10. So they're not, and they spent a ton of money on NIL this year, brought in some really talented players. Things are not going well in Manhattan, Kansas right now. Yep, Nathan, you're exactly right. When Beeline's teams didn't shoot well, they lost. Raven, you hit it. They got to start driving the lane, getting fouls. But I think a lot of that tonight, I do think Arizona State did a pretty good job of keeping them out of the lane. And again, I keep harping back to this, but I just don't know if they had the energy and the stamina to do that all night, Stormy says, I enjoy listening in. Well, Stormy, I really appreciate the $5 donation, man. It means a lot. I think Iowa State had a good win tonight, so congrats to you guys on your victory over UCF. And, it's very possible we meet you guys again in the Big 12 tournament. So we'll see what happens there. But congrats on the win, and thank you for listening and for the support. Vision says they look sick. Thank you for watching on X, Vision. By the way, for those of you who are watching on X, make sure you come over to the YouTube channel, Hoops from the Hills YouTube channel. Once the show's over, make sure you subscribe. I'm getting really, really close to 2,000, only a few more away. And then also, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the videos over there once you subscribe and watch a few of them. And you can also get access to the videos that I don't stream on X over there. Vision says, we look tired. Javon might have gotten hurt, and we shot poorly. We're too small, no bench. We'll have a good team, but no depth. All well said, Vision. Curtis says Tucker could have 2 more seasons here if he gets his medical redshirt and the NCAA passes the 5 years of eligibility rule. And that's true, but I'm sure he may not, want to do that. He may want to try to pursue the NBA at some point. Tanner Trax Premier, thank you for the $5 or thank you for the $1.99 donation. He says, thanks, Couz. Good night. Bye, fellow Mountaineers. Tanner, thank you for the support. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for joining the show, and good night to you too. Christian Shamlin in the house says that 17-year-old on Arizona State is one heck of a player already. Absolutely. Is he not? Awesome player. Arizona State's got some talent. I think they've got a couple 4- and 5-star kids on that team. So, it's not that they're not a scrub team by any means. They just haven't, for whatever reason, it hasn't all came together for them this year. But it's not like we lost to, a bunch of scrubs. Now, they don't need to go to Manhattan and lose to Kansas State, who's a 7-10 basketball team. At least Arizona State had a winning record, AJ in Arizona. Thank you, my man. He says, Stormy, I agree. I'll call your $5 and raise you 5. AJ, man, that means a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A lot of people tuning into the show that aren't even, and I don't know if this applies to you or not, AJ, but a lot of people tune in that aren't even West Virginia fans, man, and it means a lot to me. Anyway, Brennan says, guys just look tired. They'll bounce back. Yep, Kevin, they have to start rebounding better for sure. Killed us inside. Well, listen, I'm gonna call it a night here. I'm really tired. It's 11:45 p.m. I'm in a hotel. I've been traveling today, and I got more traveling to do tomorrow. So, thanks for the support of the show, everybody. I am cold, man. I got my heat cranking in here, and it still can't get warm. I won't be sick, man. I'm good. Once I get in this warm bed, I'll be good. The heater in this hotel just doesn't work too great. But I think a lot of it is just it's so friggin' cold outside. It's probably hard to heat up a big hotel like this, man. But anyway, thank you all for tuning into the show. Let's keep the faith in our Mountaineers. They will bounce back. Thanks to you guys again. Let's go Mountaineers. Good night and Q Country Roads.